Hey everybody, welcome back to the Print 3D channel. Today is August 1st, and that means day 213 of the 3DP 365 project. And on today's episode, we printed out this very cool flower vase, so stick around. Hey everybody, welcome back, and thank you for joining me here for day 213 of the 3DP 365 project. As always, down in the description there's a fact section. There's also the Matter Hackers affiliate link. If you're in the market for some new filament, just use that Matter Hackers affiliate link and you really help out the channel. On today's episode, we printed out this very cool flower vase, and our print turned out perfect. I am super happy with the results. And we used multiple processes to use different infills in this in Simplify3D version 4.0 too. And that actually sped up the printing time. And we used some of that Matter Hackers PRO PLA in the color of blue on our gMax 1.5 XT Plus. And I am really happy with the print. But first, I want to show you how we did this in Simplify3D. I know there's been some question lately, and I even mentioned it in my 7 cool new features and upgrades video, that using the variable settings wizard stopped putting in top layers. But I've done the process 4 or 5 times now, and it does add top layers, contrary to what a lot of people have been saying on the internet, and even what I said in my video. So I'm going to retract that statement, because I printed this with multiple processes using the variable settings wizard in version 4.0, and it has internal top layers and bottom layers. The variable settings wizard does not shut those off, and even though Simplify3D released in their information that does happen, I've done this process, like I said, 4 or 5 times, and every single time we still have top layers, so I know the process still works. Or you can do it the traditional way by just adding in processes and going into your advanced setting and doing your start-stop. So let's go over to Simplify3D version 4.0, and I'll show you in the variable settings wizard how to set this up with multiple processes and still get your top layers. Okay, so here we are in Simplify3D version 4.0, and I'll show you that this is indeed Simplify3D version 4.0 0.0, so it hasn't been updated. And I'll drag over our vase model, and as you can see, it is tiny, so we're going to scale it up to what I scaled it up to, which was 400%, and we'll just hit done. And you can see I don't have any processes in here, so let's go ahead and add a process. And this just has some basic settings. Under the Advanced tab, you can see that there's no start and stop points. So we'll just hit OK. We have our model selected. We'll go under Tools, Variable Settings Wizard. We'll go ahead and put in 5 millimeters as just a rough spot where we want this to change our infill amount, and this will give us a nice solid bottom. And then the remaining part of the vase won't have that 20% infill in it. We'll do 20 for the bottom and 5 for the rest. So we'll add a location, and we'll go split process, and now we have our 2 processes. So we'll just double click really quick. On the first process, we want 20% infill. We'll double check that it's stopping and starting in the right points. We'll go to process number 2, and we'll drop the infill down to 5%. And we'll go into the Advanced tab, and we can see it starts printing at 5 millimeters. And we can go in here, and we do have top layers, but let's turn them off for demonstration purposes only, because we don't need any top layers for the rest of the print. And let's turn off our skirt and our brim. And that should be it. That should be good. I'm not going to save anything. You can see we did not save our factory file. And if I hit prepare to print and do select all and do OK, and we'll let this process, and we'll zoom in here. It'll take a second to process. This is kind of a detailed model. There's a lot of polygons in it. And here is our finished slice. And as you can see, using the variable settings wizard, we do still have top layers. So, and I've turned those off in the other setting. So even if it did start doing a different infill later on, or if it was my measurement wasn't close to where we need to be at 5 millimeters, we do still have top layers. The top layer function is still in there. And I can show you that it will add top layers. We'll go into process number 2, and we'll add a couple of top solid layers. Now, because there are no top solid layers within the rest of the model, this function will go to add a little bit more plastic around the edges near your thin walls, and I'll show you. We'll go prepare to print, select all, we'll hit OK, and once this processes, we can dial it back a little bit, and you can see now that there are top layers within the model again, so it has been added back. Or it just was something that they just decided to keep in Simplify3D version 4.0, and they changed their the way the settings are, because you can see, if we zoom in here, in some areas, you can see here's a little green, that's a top layer, and it is putting in, there's some more there, there's a little bit what they call top layers, and these are considered solid layers, I should say. So if we turn that off, those go away. So if we go back in here, we go back to process 2, we turn off our top layers, we hit OK, we hit prepare to print, select all, hit OK, go back this up a little bit, and you can see it will not add any more of those solid layers. So the top layers function within the variable settings wizard is there. And I was mistaken, and like I said, I'm retracting my statement in my 7 cool new features and upgrades in the new version that the top layers was removed from the variable settings wizard to ease printing. But it appears that it is back, and you can see here that we aren't getting any more of those solid layers, so that's going to save some time and plastic. And as you can see in the bottom, we have top layers. So the top layer function within variable settings is still there. It does still work. So this proves that theory, and let's head over back to the workbench and let's discuss this a little bit further. So as you can see in Simplify3D version 4.0, and I did the process from a scratch document so you guys could see the whole process, that you do still get your top layers. Now I don't know if they re-included the feature at the last minute before the release, or if it's just something that has been pushed out over the last week to include the top layers. But I know in their original features and upgrades list, they did mention that top layers had been turned off for ease of printing. But they are back on again, and I showed you in the Simplify3D video that they are. And our print actually turned out really, really good. We did scale this up to 400% because the guys over at Fab Lab 24 made this about this big. So I knew I needed to scale it up some. And it took about, I'd say about 9 hours, 8 hours to print. It wasn't too bad, a little over 8.5 hours. Simplify3D, I think, said 8 and change. But it really took about a little over 9 hours to print. And the print itself, it looks awesome. There are no blobs, there are no globs, there are no layer skips or layer shifts. There are no signs of under extrusion anywhere. There is a few blobs from the layer change, but that's 3D printing. You can't control where that seam is. It has to change layers. But the rest of the print looks awesome, and I'm super happy with the results. I really love this MatterHackers PRO PLA in the color of blue. And my gMax did such a stellar job on this. I am really impressed. And because it has infill and walls, this is actually a very practical print, and we'll probably use this on one of our desks to hold some flowers or even some pens because it's big enough. And you could probably use this as actually a paintbrush wash because it's thick enough and it's got enough walls and the opening is small enough you could fill this with water and just use this to rinse your paintbrushes. But either way, it's a very practical print. And I can see printing this out gMaxSize in a couple of different kinds of materials too. Well, that about wraps it up for day 213 of the 3DP 365 project. I hope you guys found this episode interesting and informative. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share those videos, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.